Hey everybody, it's GombaNex and welcome back to some more Magic Arena Cube drafts. In today's draft, we have a pick one, pack one Eugene the Spirit Dragon, our best friend, an absolutely ridiculous card, and as I've seen in the comments sections before, always take the Ugin. Easy pick one, pack one there. We can play this into any deck we play. If we end up in mono red, I'm throwing this in there. Ugin's just absolutely ridiculous. Starts with 7 loyalty. It can wipe the board very easily with its -X, and then just take over the game with that +2 doing 3 damage to any target over and over and over again. And if you ever ultimate with him, it's absolutely absurd. So, Eugene the Spirit Dragon. Very, very good card there. So, we could take Platinum Angel to go with Eugene just because it's another really expensive colorless card, but Platinum Angel is nowhere near as powerful. Just a 4/4 flyer for 7. That's basically all it does because we're in Cube. Everyone's going to have tons of removal. There's not a ton of ways to protect your cards, so that secondary effect on the Platinum Angel does not come into play super often. Normally this is just a 4/4 flyer that's going to get killed at some point, like everything else. We have Hagra Mauling, which is a removal spell and a land all in one package, which I do like a lot. Blast Zone is kind of a mini Ugin. the sacrifice ability, you put a bunch of charge counters on it and then blow everything up at that mana cost, so not the worst land ever, it's definitely fine. Torbran, really only for mono red. Other than that, we've got like Cruel Reality, another expensive game-ending card, or some nice white weenie stuff. Thalia and Venerated Loxodon both go well into a heavily white deck, mostly like mono white, trying to be with a lot of really cheap creatures. I am going to take the Hagra Mauling though. I just think that'll go the best with Ugin the Spirit Dragon, and Murderous Rider is going to go fantastic with Hagra Mauling. This card is sweet. 3 mana instant speed to destroy a creature or planeswalker. You do lose 2 life to do it, but then you get to play this as a life-linking 2/3 later and just gain that life right back at the very least. So Murderous Rider is a card I like a lot. There are some other really powerful cards in this pack as always. There's Lotus Cobra, which can ramp up into insane things really quickly, and the green decks can be very heavily multicolored, and this card can do a lot in them. I guess Lotus Cobra might be the coolest card to go with Ugin, because then we can try to ramp up into it, but I think I'm trying to pull into something a little more controlling here. We do have, what else that's like sweet? Maul of the Skyclaves is absolutely brutal in aggressive decks that have white in them. Obviously 3 mana, attach this for free when you play it, and then give whatever you attached +2/+2 first strike and flying. Brutal stuff. And then Nightmare Shepherd, obviously if we wheel that in our black stuff, that'll be really sweet. Oh, Phyrexian Arena too! Just getting great stuff for a black deck here. Phyrexian Arena, for 3 mana, you get this enchantment on the battlefield. At the beginning of your upkeep, draw a card and lose a life. This is just going to double the amount of cards you draw for the rest of the game, essentially. Drawing 2 cards a turn instead of 1. However, there's also Godpharaoh's Gift, which we've seen in our earlier drafts how powerful this can be as well. If you're a deck with just a decent amount of creatures, the turn you play this, you're getting a creature back as a 4/4 with haste that still has all its other abilities. So Godpharaoh's Gift is really powerful. It's actually a very difficult pick between the two. I think both of these cards are absolutely fantastic. Godpharaoh's Gift is going to go into anything we draft, even if we get cut off black, but Phyrexian Arena is going to cut other people off black more heavily. I think passing Phyrexian Arena is a little bit of a sign to other people who might want to play a black controlling deck, so I'm not a huge fan of that. However, I think Godpharaoh's Gift is just really powerful, so I think I will go ahead and scoop that up. What do we have here? Helm of the Host is fun, but pretty expensive and pretty slow. Shark Typhoon is absolutely absurd. We're not in blue yet, but we could move into it. Assassin's Trophy is nice, efficient removal if we move into black-green. Wayward Swordtooth could double up our land plays to help us reach Ugin faster. Vastwood Surge grabs 2 lands to help us reach Ugin faster. Lots of options here. And then Woe Strider would just work pretty well with Godpharaoh's Gift. This would be good in a black Aristocrats deck, the kind of deck that likes to sacrifice a lot of early game creatures. And that is the kind of deck that would work really well with the Godpharaoh's Gift. So I think my favorites here would be Shark Typhoon moving into a blue-black control deck, Woe Strider moving into mono-black Aristocrats or black-white Aristocrats, or Vastwood Surge moving more into ramp for Ugin. I think I'm actually going to take the Woe Strider here and just stay pretty heavily black. We can move into a second color later based on what we see is most open. And here's another pack with multiple great options for mono black aristocrats, multiple great things to work with both Woe Strider and God Pharaoh's Gift, so a huge fan of that. 3 just really cheap creatures that are going to trade off very early. Dusk Legion Zealot obviously is going to chump block, and these 2 are going to trade with something with their Death Touch. So any of these 3 cards I think is a solid pick. Kind of want to go with Orzhov Enforcer. This is the best at triggering sacrifice outlets because it's 2 creatures in 1. However, these other 2 both have ways to draw a card attached to themselves, so they're better value up front. However, Orzhov Enforcer works a little better with stuff like Woe Strider, so I'll take the Orzhov Enforcer here. But it's very close between those 3. I think they're all great. Stitcher Supplier is absolutely perfect. This is 100% what we're looking for. 1 mana, 1/1. When it enters the battlefield or dies, we mill 3 cards. Really perfect combo with God Pharaoh's Gift. It'll fill our graveyard with all of those early little aristocrat-style creatures to bring back later. And it'll fill our graveyard for stuff like Escape with Woe Strider. Really perfect card for this strategy. Witch's Oven would be great. It's another sacrifice outlet, and if we manage to get a cat, I think they put cat in this cube, that's obviously perfect. And Heartless Act is just good removal, so that is an option as well. Polukranos also is an escape card, so that could go well with the self-mill theme. So great stuff in this pack, but Stitcher Supplier is not only great, it's pretty much perfect. This will be a difficult pick. Thief of Insanity is ridiculous. However, it does move us into blue here, moves us into a second color. 3 mana for a 2/2 whenever it damages a player. Look at the top 3 cards of their library. Exile one of them face down, and put the rest into the graveyard, and you can cast it as long as it remains exiled for whatever mana you have. So this is really, really strong in Cube because everybody's playing really strong cards. You're just going to repeatedly steal your opponent's best card from them, well, from their top 3. However, there's also Crypt Breaker. If we get enough zombies, this will be good, and also by itself, it's its own little engine that we're discarding cards and making more zombies. So I like both of those a lot. I think Thief of Sanity is a fine pick there, but Crypt Breaker... I think the difference between those 2 cards is Thief of Sanity is definitely stronger. It's incredibly powerful, but Crypt Breaker is more likely to see play in this deck. We're 100% going to play Crypt Breaker no matter what happens for the rest of this draft, because we're black. We're 100% black, and we can use random creature tokens like those zombie tokens, so that would be the argument there. I like taking Archfiend of Ifnir early. Rotting Regisaur is an option too. Farrakhan's Spawn as well, but it's kind of the least exciting. Archfiend of Ifnir is really cool. If you can get a lot of cycling cards or self-discard kind of cards, you can whittle down your opponent's field, put a bunch of -1/-1 counters on their stuff, and try to clear it out that way, which is pretty cool. We have Vraska or Cruel Reality here. These are both fine. Cruel Reality obviously does not work sometimes. Field of the Dead is an incredibly popular strategy in this format, as are some token kind of decks, and this is just bad against both of those. But other than that, it is a really good game ender. And Mythos of Nethroi, that's just 3 mana instant speed, destroy a non-creature permanent? Non-creature, non-land permanent, if I'm not in green-white. I don't know, that might be better because black decks don't often have ways to kill stuff like that. So Blood for Bones here would be fun for a Reanimator strategy. That's good if you have creatures that cost a lot of mana to bring back, but I don't really right now. Nightmare Shepherd's just a little more exciting in general. In an Aristocrat strategy, again, we get to sacrifice our little creatures, and then they come back. We're getting their Enter the Battlefield and Death triggers, again, when they come back as Nightmare tokens. And the fact that the Nightmare Shepherd was still in that pack is a really good sign for like a mono-black kind of deck. Maybe we get to be mono-black control here. That could be really cool. Now we have Merfolk Secret Keeper, which can mill ourselves if we do end up with the Thief of Sanity in this deck. Maybe we just go for like a little blue splash. Curiosity's not the worst in the world. Right now I don't have a lot that goes super well with it, but it's possible we'll play it. Crackling Drake is basically... There's basically no way we'll play that. That's just a really hard mana cost for everything we have right now. Now we could have Merfolk Secret Keeper and Ashiok have a nice start to a mill deck, but we can also stay in mono black Aristocrats with one of the other better sacrificial outlets, Reassembling Skeleton, or Sacrificial Fodder. 2 mana for a 1/1, and then 2 mana you can return it from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. You can just keep doing that whenever you've got the mana. There's also Disfigure here. There's a lot of great stuff. I would be really happy to be playing Ashiok, Reassembling Skeleton, and Champion of Wits in this deck. All three of these I'm incredibly happy to play. I'd like Disfigure as well. And then after that, Exclusion Mage is fine. Disallow would be the weakest card out of all of these for our deck specifically because blue's more of a splash, but it's better than wheeling nothing. Really difficult pick. Lots of great options. Ashiok we could even play if we're mono black. I really want to wheel that Reassembling Skeleton, but I'm terrified every time I try to wheel something. I always feel like it's just not going to wheel. We'll find out, because I last second took that Ashiok there, so we'll see if Reassembling Skeleton wheels or not. I would absolutely love to. For now, we've got Ashiok in here. These blue cards aren't super exciting. Waker of Waves is fantastic for a Reanimator strategy, but we didn't take that Blood for Bones earlier, so we don't have anything that brings creatures back from our grave outside of Godpharaoh's Gift, which turns them all into 4/4s anyway, so if we're bringing back 1/1s or 7/7s, doesn't really matter. So yeah, Waker of Waves, great in a Reanimator deck because it discards itself and gives you value off of that 2-mana ability there. So that's really cool. But we're going to take Demonic Pact or Elspeth's Nightmare. Demonic Pact can be really good. You really want to have a way to sacrifice it or put it back in your hand. Otherwise, it is a really risky card, but it's fun to be risky. But then there's also Elspeth's Nightmare, which is much less risky, but much less exciting. But it is just good in general. We'll throw an Elspeth's Nightmare in. If we wheel that Demonic Pact, I will take it and try to run it. And here we have multiple options, multiple ways to trigger Demonic Pact. I'm going to take the one that goes the best with everything we've drafted so far, and that would be God Eternal Bontu, because this is a nice sacrifice outlet. When it comes to play, sacrifice any number of permanents and then draw that many cards. You can sacrifice enchantments with this, which means you can sacrifice your own Demonic Pact before it kills you with the lose the game trigger, so that's good. There's also Into the Royal to bounce it back to our hand if we want to take the blue card there, but God Eternal Bontu is just going to work well in our deck in general, even if we don't have Demonic Pact wheeling. Bolas' Citadel is an option as well, but that one's kind of weird, kind of crazy to me. That's a little too gung-ho. I'll go with God Eternal Bontu for now. Maybe if it wheels, we can try out Bolas' Citadel. And thanks to being heavily black here, we can take stuff like Ayara, but there's also Gutter Bones, which is another great card to keep getting back from your graveyard. All you have to do to bring this back from your grave to your hand is have an opponent lose life in this turn, and that's not super hard to trigger compared to some of the other ones that need you to have like no cards in hand or something like that. So Gutter Bones is pretty great. There's also Karn, which I've played Karn tons of times in this cube, and every time I've played Karn, Karn has been fantastic. And Karn's the least likely to wheel because Karn's colorless. I think I'm okay taking Karn here because we probably won't wheel Gutter Bones, unfortunately, because this is a little late in the pack. There's going to be 8 cards out of here. There's only going to be 4 cards left, I think. 3 or 4. But we'll at least wheel Ayara, almost guaranteed. I don't think anybody else is going to be that heavily in black when I can get all of this stuff. And yeah, Karn's very powerful, so we're fine taking Karn there. We do have Cruel Celebrant for white-black Aristocrats, which is an option. We're not committed to blue. We just have Curiosity. The only thing that we have that needs blue is Curiosity, Thief of Sanity, and Merfolk's Secret Keeper. And black-white Aristocrats is a little bit better. Black-white Sacrifice just makes a little more sense. We do have the Witch's Cauldron as well if we want to just stick to what we're doing right now. Just another way to sacrifice stuff. Kind of do want to take the Cruel Celebrant, though. I don't know, how likely am I to be mono black? We'll see. I'm taking the Cruel Celebrant for now. Ooh. Oh my god, this pack is great. Feed the Swarm, great cheap removal. Blackbloom Rogue is a MDFC modal double-faced card. It's a land and a creature all in one package. Great stuff. Cry of the Carnarium is a nice cheap Wrath effect. Might not be perfect in an Aristocrats deck, though, because we're going to try to have early game creatures. We don't have a lot of them right now, actually. I probably should have taken that Gutter Bones more highly. We need to really focus on our early drops. Yeah, I think for that reason, I think I have to go with Dreadhorde Invasion. We lose a life and amass 1 during our upkeep, so we get like a 1/1 every upkeep if we keep sacrificing that 1/1, or if it stays on the field, it just keeps getting bigger. It amasses into a larger zombie army. Ooh, Vengeful Rebel. I'm just gonna say ooh every time I get a pack, because there's a cool thing in like every one of these packs that I do like. Vengeful Rebel, perfect for sacrifice decks, because that's how you get that revolt trigger. If one of your permanents leaves the battlefield in that turn, you can use the secondary part, have a creature an opponent controls get -3/-3 till end of turn when you play this. So for 3 mana, you're getting a 3/2 and killing one of their creatures. Great card if you can trigger the revolt for it, and we certainly can. Nothing here for black-white aristocrats, or aristocrats in general, so we'll take the Ruin Crab to go with Merfolk Secret Keeper and Ashiok if we do end up in blue. Now we definitely have a bit of a mill theme going, and Reassembling Skeleton and Disfigure Wield, really good sign. Very happy about that. We'll take the Reassembling Skeleton. We're starting to get the curve a little more sorted out, but we do still want some early stuff. I think I will take it over Disfigure. Now we can take Waker of Waves in case I get black Reanimate spells, or Acquisitions Expert to have our opponent discard a card when we play this. And that's decent sacrificial fodder, just 2 mana 1/2. We want a ton of early game creatures with Godfarrow's Gift. I think this is fine. Nice little Acquisition Expert, why not? Curious Obsession, I guess we have another copy of Curiosity now, basically. If we do want to do that. We wield Gutterbones and Ayara. That's a really good sign for us. Black is so open. And black aristocrats. Out of these two, what do I even pick? Ayara is another way to sacrifice creatures and draw cards, and drains life whenever we play them, or Gutterbones is going to keep coming back. I don't know. I went with Gutterbones, but maybe that's Ayara at this point. I really want to have 1-drops too. That was a really rough choice there. Kind of crazy how open our stuff is. I definitely have a really good feeling about the last pack then. I think we are well positioned for the colors that we're drafting, which is basically just black, but still. So for mono black, we've got Gravebreaker Lamia. 5 mana 4/4 lifelink. When it comes to play, search our library for a card, put it into our graveyard, then shuffle. Do we have anything that like comes back? We've got like Gutterbones and stuff we could throw in there. Reassembling Skeleton. So that's a fine combo. We could also throw Woe Strider in there to escape. We have like decent combos to go with that. This card looks so bad at face value that I highly doubt this won't wheel, even though it's the only black card in the pack. So I think I could just take like a Stonecoil Serpent, which is good in any deck. You just cast it whenever you need to play a thing. And for whatever mana cost you pay for it, you're getting what you paid for. 1 mana 1/1, 3 mana 3/3, so on. I think Stonecoil Serpent is fine here. We could also take Folio Fancies if I really want to move in on mill, but I think with how open black's being, we're probably going to cut that mill sub-theme, just keep a little bit of the self-mill, and try to stick to the sacrificial, more aristocrats-style strategy. We could take a Concealed Courtyard to mana fix for white-black. We could also take Hidden Stockpile to go for white-black, but there's also Inscription of Ruin. I kind of like the idea of ending up just mono-colored here, so a mana base is just perfect. So what does this do? 3 mana, have an opponent discard 2 cards, or return a creature with a current mana cost 2 or less from a grave to the battlefield, or destroy a creature with a current mana cost 3 or less. Wow, this is really versatile. This is really powerful, and obviously if you kick it, doing all of that stuff is really good. That seems like a great card. We're going to take that Inscription of Ruin, and I will actually cut out the blue cards and the white cards. Now we're just trying to go mono black and have a swell time doing it. Yeah, we're down to 21 cards here. We don't need to pick that many more playables up. We're doing great. Now we have Languish as a Wrath effect, or Thoughtseize to control our opponent's hand. Just disrupt them. Ideally, we have a lot of nice little chump blockers, so we don't really need Wrath effects too often. However, I don't have a Wrath effect yet, and Languish is basically the only monocolored Wrath effect. So it would be nice to have... I like the Thoughtseize a little more, though. I like disrupting our opponent in the early game, trying to stop whatever shenanigans they're doing. Blood Artist is such a great pickup here. beautiful. This is something that's just going to give us tons of value when we're sacrificing things, when our things are trading off, when our things are chump blocking, all of that good stuff. There's also a Whisper Blood Liturgist here that might wheel. This is another sacrifice outlet that can bring things back from the grave. We don't have a lot of big creatures, but we've got enough to try to do things with Whisper. So that might wheel, that might be good. Now we have Pelakka Predation, a flip land card, which is good. Eliminate, nice efficient removal, and Exquisite Blood. Whenever we gain life, each opponent loses that much life. I don't think we have enough lifelink to really use Exquisite Blood, but they have Exquisite Blood and Veto, Thorn of Black-Rose in here, so you can potentially get that 2-card combo, which does infinite damage to your opponent, and you gain infinite life, so that's pretty cool. So it's Pelakka Predation or Eliminate here. We've got like Hagra Mauling. I don't think we have a ton of interaction. Hagra Mauling, Vengeful Rebel, Inscription of Ruin. It wants to take Scavenging Ooze for some reason. Yeah, I'm going to take Eliminate here. Maybe we'll wheel the Predation, because that is a card I'd like to play as well. Oh, these packs are just giving us gold. Now we have Rankle. I think Rankle's got to be the pick. Fatal Push is good. Instant speed, efficient removal, and Call of the Death Dweller's fun, brings some stuff back from our grave, but Rankle fills out our curve a little better, gives us another late game creature, and this is a really good sacrifice outlet because it makes both us and our opponent sacrifice a creature, so more often than not we're going to be sacrificing some nonsense we can bring back anyway and forcing them to sacrifice an actually good creature, so I like Rankle a lot. Seems like a great card for this deck. Demonic Embrace or Agonizing Remorse. Neither of these I'm actually that into. I think I'm actually going to cut Ashiok at this point. I don't think we need to self-mill that much that we're going to play a dedicated self-mill card, and we're definitely not milling our opponent at this point, so we'll cut Ashiok. Demonic Embrace or Agonizing Remorse. Demonic Embrace, we could throw this on any of our random sack creatures and start getting in. That might be a little better than Agonizing Remorse. Agonizing Remorse is another Thoughtseize style card that's just for disrupting your opponent, so it's fine. There's the Veto. Thorn of the Dusk Rose. This will be a difficult pick. We actually have Archfiend's Vessel, which is a decent little sacrifice card. Just a 1/1 chumps early or sacrifices if we bring it back later with anything. We can do fun stuff, but Veto, if we get the Exquisite Blood, we can combo off. I think I'd rather take Archfiend's Vessel. It is really cute that we got the potential of getting Veto and Exquisite Blood. I highly doubt anybody's taking Exquisite Blood. However, that's a 2-card combo, and those 2 cards individually aren't the greatest in this deck. They're just whatever. Whereas Archfiend's Vessel is definitely a fine little sacrificial outlet by itself. Yeah, see, we could have had Veto and Exquisite Blood, but I don't think I would be running Exquisite Blood in here. Instead, because we knew everything in black was going to wheel based on how this draft was going, we got to get Archfiend's Vessel with both Whisper, the Blood Liturgist, and Call of the Death Dweller to bring it back. So we actually got more things to combo with the Archfiend's Vessel than we would have had to combo with Veto. However, obviously, if you get the Veto combo, Exquisite Blood and Veto, your opponent dies immediately. Whereas Archfiend's Vessel, you're just getting a 5/5, but that's still fun. So we're going to cut 6 cards here. I think this deck is looking real spicy. We definitely need to put a lot of work in during the deck building part, make sure we have enough sacrifice outlets and creatures to sacrifice. So let's sort out our creatures here. But I think this deck is sweet. This deck is real fun. So, let's see what we got here. Thoughtseize is great. Dreadhorde Invasion, great. Eliminate, great. Call the Death Dweller. Put that in the maybes over here. We're just going to make a maybe pile. Elspeth's Nightmare. Don't have a ton of interaction, so I think I want to leave that in there. Cruel Reality is another one that I'll put in the maybes over here. But God of Pharaoh's Gift and Ugin absolutely are going to stay in. Karn's going to stay in. Hagra Mauling's going to stay in. I think all these are going to stay in. So what do we have here? If we're taking out Call of the Death Dweller, we're probably taking out Archfiend's Vessel. I need to cut 6 cards. I don't have any flip cards. I don't have any flip lands. Actually, I do have 1, Hagra Mauling, but you almost always want to just play this as an instant, so I don't really count that. I think I do still want 17 lands. Even with that. deck looks fun. We don't have a lot to copy with the Archfiend, so the Archfiend's kind of a 5-mana 5/4 flyer with no text, really. So maybe we want to cut that as well. So if I cut those 4, I still need to cut 2 more cards. I'm not 100% certain what I want to cut here, so I'm going to cut... I could cut Whisper as well. I don't have anything really big to return. It is a really cute combo with the Archfiend's Vessel, but... Like, how many sacrifice outlets do I have without Whisper? I can sacrifice once to God Eternal Bontu. I can sacrifice multiple times to Rankle. Sacrifice multiple times to Woe Strider. That might be it. I don't have a ton of sacrifice outlets, really. So maybe I have to leave Whisper in just for that reason. I can still just chump block a lot and bring things back for the grave, from the grave for value like that, even if I don't have one of my few sacrifice outlets. So that seems fine. I don't know. This would be cutting 5 cards, cut 1 more card here. Lami is not super exciting, but I mean a 5-mana 4/4 lifelink that like now I get another 1/1 that I can keep replaying. It's pretty cute. It's nice to be able to shuffle that up, get that little synergy going. If I'm cutting another non-land here, what would I cut? Maybe Elspeth's Nightmare? Inscription of Ruin seems just a little better in general. Demonic Embrace is a little weird in this deck. We definitely seem like we're more trying to get value over the course of the game than just really racing our opponents, but I really like the options that Demonic Embrace gives you of being able to just cast this on turn 3 on one of these random dorks, and all of a sudden your opponent's like facing a ton of pressure, and even if they do end up killing it, you can keep bringing back this Demonic Embrace onto your other just random dorks and keep putting pressure on that way. So I do really like Demonic Embrace, even if it's a little weird in this deck. So if I cut these... How's our deck looking? 41 card special, maybe? I suppose Stonecoil Serpent doesn't really combo at all in our deck. It's just like, it just fills out the curve. Whenever we draw it, we can play it for full mana, so that's cute. But that might be the least synergistic card in the whole deck. Because it's literally like just in there because it's just playable whenever. Yeah... I think I can cut Stonecoil, and then that's the deck. Again, don't know how I feel about that. I am really bad at cutting the decks down, whittling them down to a really playable format, but I think this deck looks really fun, really synergistic, pretty sweet. We're getting to play a mono black deck in Limited, and this could be some real fun stuff here, so... We'll see how well this Aristocrats goes. We always have the option in between rounds of sideboarding these other cards back in, taking cards that underperformed out. Maybe we'll end up cutting stuff like Demonic Embrace, getting more sacrifice outlets like Whisper back into the deck. Maybe our late game ends up sucking, so we cut a couple 2s and 3s, throwing in Cruel Reality again. Anything like that, we have these options. Of course, these are best of 1 games, so we can't like sideboard for whatever our opponent's playing, but we can sideboard based on the general meta, how well our deck is doing. You do have the option with cube drafts on Arena of doing traditional cube drafts. If you do traditional cube drafts, you are doing best of 3 matches, but you're only doing 3 different matches. I prefer the best of 1 just because I like seeing as much variety of decks as possible. I used to be a best of 3 idealist, realist, whatever you want to call it, because I drafted in paper all the time. But then once once the pandemic hit and we're all just playing Arena now, I get it. I get the best of ones. You just are seeing more decks and stuff, even if you're not getting the most fair matches against every deck every time, because, you know, a single game of Mana Screw or Mana Flood hurts a lot more when you're only playing against the deck once. It's still, I don't know, it's still really fun to see a wider variety of decks, I feel. If I was in a tournament or something, I'd definitely do best 2 out of 3, but I think it's just more fun, the best of ones. So I'm gonna keep this. It's really slow, really awkward, but it's got interaction, and it has our boy Eugene, the Spirit Dragon. We have several late game plays. All kinds of stuff to ramp up into. And now we do have Blood Artist on turn 2. Thanks to our top decks. Top deck the halls. Alright, Jade Light Ranger coming in from our opponent. Is our opponent on mono green? 2 mono colored decks. Walk into a bar. Forest and Tangled Florahedron. Florahedron gets explored into the graveyard. I could just play this as a 2/3 lifelinker, but I'm just going to save it as a spell. Try to use it in their end step, so next turn I can play Rankle. Start going off there. Rankle was a good draw as well. That helps the curve. Turn 3, we kill Kazandu Mammoth. Turn 4, we play Rankle. We both sacrifice a creature. There goes their Jade Light Ranger. And then turn 5, we play Gravebreaker Lamia, and we get to bring back our Resummoning Skeleton over and over. So that could be really cool. Ooh, Stitcher Supplier is the draw. That kind of makes me want to just play Murderous Rider and Stitcher Supplier then. Because if I Rankle now, I'm going to sacrifice Blood Artist if I choose to have us both sacrifice. Yeah, Stitcher Supplier is a really good thing to sacrifice, so I'm just going to play it first before I ever Rankle. We have hit Orzhov Enforcer, not bad. And we'll cast Murderous Rider. Just get a lot of creatures on this board and pass. That way I can keep Blood Artists on the board, we can keep draining them life with that. And now I have even more creatures out to sacrifice to Rankle, God Eternal Bontu, all of that good stuff. Opponent has a ton of lands out. It is really cool we're getting the mono-colored mirror match. I love that. Mono green versus mono black. Life versus death. A fight for the ages. Now I have 5 mana, so I can just ramp into God Eternal Bontu, sacrifice Stitcher's Supplier, draw a card. Both of our opponent's creatures are quite good, though, so I do really like Rankle, force a sacrifice and a discard. They only have 2 cards in hand. They just played 2 lands there. Get them to discard a card here. We just discard a land. We don't need this Ugin. We have such powerful plays for a while. We can hold off on playing Ugin if it means severing our opponent from their stronger plays as well. Alright, so sack a creature, discard a card. Yeah, we made him discard a Tender Shoot Dryad. I am so happy about that that discard there. Really, really happy about that. I think it was definitely worth it. And we milled a Reassembling Skeleton with our Stitcher Supplier. Unfortunately, we milled our God Pharaoh's Gift as well, which is not ideal. God Pharaoh's Gift is obviously our best way to utilize all the creatures in our graveyard. But at least we got a little bit of value out of it. Sending in with a Wayward Swordtooth, no Death Touch, so that will happen. They do have Kogla the Titan Ape out. Whenever that attacks, they destroy an artifact or enchantment we control. Don't control any of those, but I need to keep that in mind. They did fight our Rankle away, so now we are at 5 mana, and we do want to hit 8 for Ugin. If I play God Eternal Bontu right now, I don't think I actually want to sacrifice anything on this board, so I'm actually going to hit Gravebreaker Lamia to mill ourselves another card we can get back, maybe Woe Strider. Let's see, what do we have? We have Woe Strider, Gutter Bones. We're not likely to do damage to our opponent very often, but I guess anytime we sacrifice something, we can do that. We could also hit Demonic Embrace, throw it onto one of our lifelinkers. They are at 13. So Demonic Embrace discarding Bontu could be big. But I actually think we're down to 14. I think I'm going to be making a double block here, try to trade with Kogla. I could also just double block Sword Tooth, and then I only trade one of my creatures for that. Yeah, I don't know about the Demonic Embrace, but I'm not going to be bringing back Gutter Bones anyway, so we'll throw Demonic Embrace into our grave to have the option of getting aggressive, throwing this onto one of our creatures and getting flying. This Gravebreaker at Lamia actually has more options in our deck than I thought it did. I thought we just had like Reassembling Skeleton and stuff. So we could bring back our chump blockers. Oh, I totally forgot Gravebreaker Lamia is a freaking enchantment. Oh my god. Well, so the Lamia is not ideal against Kogla, but we do have the Demonic Embrace that we can throw on grave as well. Not just creatures. That's what I was saying. So that's good. But this is not. We're going to take 12 here. They don't have trample, so I can chump block Kogla, take 5, go to 10. I gain 3, go to 13, but chump blocking Beanstalk's going to stop more damage. I think we just take it. It's a lot. It is a lot of damage now. Ugin is like our only out here. Do I Karn? Hope they give us a land. And then we're going to make a chump block. I could also Karn and just make a token. Every time we chump block, we're gaining a life. The token's an artifact as well, so if I make a token, it just dies to Kogla. Karn might be able to spread out their attacks as well. Karn doesn't give me another blocker, though, so I would have to chump block with Blood Artist as well if I do Karn. And I'm 3 mana off from Ugin. But if I play God Eternal Bontu, I don't want to sacrifice anything. Do I just sacrifice Blood Artist, and then I have a blocker for their 5/6? I block there, chump there. Drain him for 1 life. I guess that's the safest play. Wait, they didn't cast Beanstalk Giant. That's really concerning what they're holding up then at instant speed. Yeah, I think I sacrificed just Blood Artist because I need all these lands. I don't think I'm not sacrificing here as well. Alright. I don't like that they still have mana up. I don't know what is going on. Nothing. Just did not want to play Beanstalk there. That's really concerning. It's really scary. Garruk, no! No, he gives trample, doesn't he? He gives +3/+3 and trample. That's game.
Wrong neck of the woods, pal.
I think that's game on Kogla. 10 trample power. I can only stop 6, and then I take 4, go to 0. I guess I have lifelink, so it's not quite game, but it's really close. It's game next turn. 100%. Getting trample every turn is huge here. Yeah, that's real bad. That's really bad. So I lose all my creatures, I go to 4. Yeah, I can't even... Can I legally block this way? If I block this way, I take 7, but I gain 2, so I take 5. Yeah, I can't do that. That sucks. Oh man, that sucks. This is my only legal block. Rough. Drawing Bontu is not going to save me. Just stay in the grave. Acquisitions expert. Nah, trample on Garruk is just too much. Dang. That was a rough one. So, I suppose it turns out we might have actually won that one if we didn't discard our land to Rankle. I mean, at the point that we were at, well, they did just fight Rankle literally the next turn. So, we would have only drawn one card off of Rankle if we chose to draw a card off of Rankle, which, seeing how many lands we drew there, we would have only had one more maximum, because we would have only had one more drawn step. So we would have had... we would have hit exactly 8 mana if I didn't discard a land, and the last card, the very top deck of my library that I didn't get to see there, was also a land. So maybe we could have Ugined out of that game if I hadn't got all sacrificial there, but I think I still stand by it. I think that was still the play at the time. Just them getting trample on stuff was super rough. So we've got Naya aggro here. Skyclave Apparition seems like just the most annoying thing. Kind of want to just get rid of that. I can just like eliminate the Apparition, but... or Elspeth's Nightmare it. But I don't want it to exile my stuff, and my stuff stays exiled even if I eliminate it. I just get a token replacement that isn't the original card. That card just annoys me. Maybe that wasn't the best pick, but I don't want to be annoyed right now. This might be one of the few games we're actually going to try to make Dreadhorde Invasion a 6/6, so we can send in with a 6/6 life-linking zombie army. Imperious, perfect. I am glad my opponent drew that, because that gives me a very good target for Elspeth's Nightmare. I would not have had a target otherwise, because Rishkar puts a +1/+1 counter on itself. Boop. And now we get to Embercleave. Alright, well, we get to Elspeth's Nightmare, their Embercleave, so that will be fantastic. They are at 4 mana now. They get that Vizier of the Menagerie. Don't have anything to kill that, because it costs 4, so it's out of Eliminate's range. Oh my god, they have Inscription of Abundance as well. +2/+2. Okay, 2 +1/+1 counters on a creature. Gain life equal to the highest power and fight a creature. It's only 2 mana at instant speed to fight. So they do that next turn. They don't have the second green to do both things. I don't like letting them keep Embercleave, but I'm going to play a lifelinker this turn, and my zombie army could be lifelink pretty soon. I think I leave them the Embercleave, which is scary, but... play Gravebreaker Lamia. Throw... do I want Demonic Embrace again? Give this flying and start getting in with a large lifelinking dude. They do have an Aurelia coming up, which is scary. My other options are just ground creatures. So yeah, with Aurelia coming up, I think I just want Demonic Embrace. Get some flying going on. There's Aurelia. Buff up the Vizier, get a swing in with him. Just buff the Aurelia past the turn, fair enough. Hagra Mauling's a great draw, now we get to just destroy Aurelia. Don't even worry about Embercleave now. I mean, I suppose they could Embercleave the Vizier, but yeah, we're just going to destroy Aurelia here. Then we get in with Lifelink, they don't have any ideal blocks. We can make a chump blocker. Sure, they get to Embercleave in, but they only Embercleave in for 8s, and I have a little bit of chumping going on, so they get in for 7, I guess, instead. Very close to the zombie being big enough to gain lifelink. If we throw Demonic Embrace on it, it will be. Stitcher Supplier might have actually been better to just hold in my hand, discard it to Demonic Embrace, but if we just draw another land, that's fine too. Bam. Flying lifelink, gain 8s there. Vizier is too big for the Gravebreaker now, and they just scoop him up anyway. Okay, so there I think I was going to just attack with the zombie token, put him to 2, and go to like 22. I was in a really good position there, because then I also had Eliminate for Rishkar. They would need removal for my zombie token in the immediate future. Alright, 1 win and 1 loss for the Mono Black Sacrifice deck. Yeah, one thing I've got to say, even in the game that I lost, I'm really liking this deck. It's fun, synergistic, weird little graveyard stuff and sacrifice stuff, and it's very mono-black. No devotion stuff, though. No Grey Merchant of Asphodel or anything. As cool as Gary is, it's not in here. Awkward hand, just because of the lack of early game plays, but Godfarrow's Gift is really good if we hit that 7, especially if we get a little bit of trades going in the early game. I'm going to keep this one, but I would not be surprised to just lose to an aggressive white or red deck here before we can do much of anything. Reassembling Skeleton will help with that a lot. Gives us a chump blocker and then multiple chump blocks later on as we keep replaying it. And our opponent's on some kind of multicolor deck anyway, so they shouldn't be that aggressive. Yeah, Sheltered Thicket into Dragon Skull Summit. So we are 100% playing the long game here with Godfarrow's Gift into Eugene. We are just trying to survive for the long game. And our opponent drops Dryad of the Elysian Grove into Forest and Pillar Verge Pathway, so they're probably one of these heavily multicolored Field of the Dead sort of strategies. I think I have a pretty good hand for against that kind of deck. I can slap Demonic Embrace onto Reassembling Skeleton just so I have like a decent blocker. I don't think I'm attacking in here if I do that, though. I don't think there's really a reason not to. Like, this isn't going to be that much better on anything I have later, because the only thing I have later already has flying. Whatever. Make a big old scary skeleton. Maybe we'll get him to use removal on the skeleton. Could attack in if I really want to. I suppose they have 2 cards in hand. They have a lot of mana. I don't think they're going to play anything with haste, so yeah, maybe we get aggressive here. Just try to push in on them before they cast a really expensive card. Yeah, and one of their cards was just a blue cycling card, so they are 5 color. That is 100% confirmed now. They have 4 colors on board, and a 5th color just got cycled away. Obviously, with Dryad, they have whatever colors they need. Yorion, the Sky Nomad. They can bounce their stuff, bring it back, so they can bounce the goose, get another food out of it. I think that's the only thing they can get value off of, though. So not the end of the world. Alright, here's my 4th mana. I've got 6 mana in hand, so I only need to draw 1 more to draw into Godfarrow's Gift. I can't attack into a 4/5 flyer, but I can block that with both of my flyers and only lose one of them. They obviously are going to want to kill the Nightmare Shepherd. Because if they kill Skeleton, it's just going to come back. Alright, no blocks. Another nice little creature to start getting back with Godfarrow's Gift if I get this thing to chump block. And I get to make them discard their last card in hand, because I get to look at 2 of them. And they'll discard 1. Essence Capture, so it's just a counter a creature spell. That's fine. I did get to force them to use it by playing the card that would discard it. And now I do have a creature engraved for Godfarrow's Gift, so I don't end up in that awkward situation that happens sometimes, where you drop a Godfarrow's Gift with no creatures engraved. Opponent has a really good value engine going, though. With Rada, they can play lands off the top of their deck, and with Dryad of the Elysian Grove, they can play 2 lands a turn, so they can make sure that they're not just drawing lands. I am not going to exile my skeleton, because I would rather be able to just keep bringing it back than get it 1 time as a Nightmare token. So it's a good thing that that is a May ability. Experimental Overload, bringing back the Hieroglyphic Illumination to draw 2. And there's another little creature. So I think we're all in on trying to hit Eugene. 2 mana away from Eugene, 1 mana away from Godfarrow's Gift, and Godfarrow's Gift will obviously really help us survive to the point of hitting him. I don't think I'm going to discard anything to play Demonic Embrace again. But that does allow them to start getting him with Yorion, which is pretty scary, because now I don't have a flying blocker for that. I suppose I do get to threaten crackbacks if they attack, because then their only blocker is a chump blocker. for my flyer. Somehow I don't think that's going to matter to them. I think we're getting hit by Yorion. This Rada is a real big issue. We need to draw into one of our removal spells. Because that first strike, we're just not going to be able to do anything about it. I mean, I guess with reassembling Skeleton, until they draw a way to give her flying or trample, we're really just fine. Reassembling Skeleton's definitely putting in work this game. They will reassemble many times. Oh no. Chandra's going to put us on a really fast clock with her Pus 2 ability to start hitting us for life every turn. That's very bad. Very, very bad. God, she starts out with 8 loyalty. She starts with 6 and has a +2. Good lord. I do have Godpharaoh's Gift mana now. But I might want a Demonic Embrace. If I throw Demonic Embrace on my Nightmare, I hit Chandra for 7, or I guess they can just chump block with a Gilded Goose still. They don't have to chump with Yorion yet. Yikes, yeah, this is rough, but I think it's just Godpharaoh's Gift here, and we really want to hit a land next turn. Like, really, really. Just incredibly want to hit a land. Why is a 4/5 so good at stopping my 4/4 Zambies? Well, that is a great discard. Thank you very much, Acquisition Expert. We don't have good attacks into that 4/5 body. So the best... Oh no, Niv Mizzet Reborn to draw a bunch of cards? Please don't hit very many. They hit 2. They hit... Oh, they hit Escape from the Wilds, though? Escape to the Wilds. That's just another huge draw spell, basically. Oh, I don't know what I could possibly do here. They hit Karuga as well, which draws... Oh my god, 5 cards with the amount of permanents they have on field. We're super likely to die here, but the best case scenario is they attack with a bunch of stuff and we have as many creatures as possible go to the graveyard, so that when we cast Eugene, we're not exiling all our own stuff too, because that's pretty bad for us. Because then they're just going to take over by all the stuff in their hand. Yeah, I guess we're just trumping with Nightmare Shepherd, so that we have at least 1 creature in our graveyard if we draw our land for Ugin immediately, and if we don't draw our land for Ugin immediately, we just lose. Yikes. Okay. Well, Rankle chump blocks? Yeah, that's all I got. Rankle chump blocks. It's true. We can Godpharaoh's Gift. Can we choose not to use the gift? We can choose not to use the gift if I want to hold out for after Eugene. I feel like that would look really suspicious, though. Should probably just use it. None of our creatures even have good under the battlefield effects. If I bring that back, I've got 7 power of flying, so they probably don't send out the flyers. I think I have to just use this. Doesn't feel awesome. I'm dead in a lot of ways. Opponent obviously has field advantage, card advantage, life advantage now. Heavily with Chandra's ability, Chandra's emblems. They fight my Shepherd away. I've got a third ability on me. I'm taking 3 a turn under a lot of pressure. Okay, there's Niv Mizzet coming in and Yorion coming in, which means I'm taking 5 here. But at least one of my creatures is engraved for my Godfrow's Gift. After I cast Eugene, fingers crossed. However, they still have tons in hand. They're not really like overcommitting here, which is smart. Oh, Golos is colorless too, so Golos is still going to be on the field even if I Ugin. They have 12 cards left in their library. I've got my Ugin mana. 3, 5, 1, 3, 5, 5, 6. So I have to Ugin minus 6. Ugin's at 1 loyalty. Then I take 3 from the Chandra thing, so I'm basically at 4. I mean, we just do... Well, I can attack first. Because I'm not going to try to get in with a hasty Rankle, because the problem with that is Rankle doesn't have Vigilance. So if I attack with Rankle, they're still going to have Golos and Cultivator's Caravan out, which means if I attack with Rankle and try to get them to sacrifice a creature, they can just sacrifice the Cultivator's Caravan by crewing it, and then hit me with Golos for basically lethal. So yeah, I don't think I'm attacking this turn with anything I bring back with Godfrow's Gift. Oh my god, I'm such an idiot, but Godfrow's Gift triggers in combat, so I won't have a blocker if I do this post-combat. Oops. I don't think it's going to matter, though. Let's just make like a big last-ditch effort attack-looking thing. See how many things we get to trade with. The more the merrier. Yeah, now I just died a Cultivator's Caravan. That was dumb. That was dumb. I had to Ugin main phase 1 and then save Rankle back as a 4/4 blocker. I didn't have an option of trying to get more creatures in my graveyard and just have more cute synergies here. No, it was 100% just not an option. Not that it was super likely to matter, but it was still definitely not the right play on my part. I'm actually just not even using any abilities here. I guess we can have each of us sacrifice a creature. But I'm definitely not losing a life. I'm definitely not discarding Ugin. So what am I sacrificing? These are all going to die anyway. Sacrificing Orzhov Enforcer would give me a blocker, but then that just gets exiled when I play Ugin. Just sacrifice one of these random things. Oh wait, no. Technically, if I'm playing the long game there, I'm supposed to sacrifice Orzhov Enforcer, because then I have... Then I have another creature engraved for Godfrow's Gift next turn, but I'm dead on board next turn, even if I exile everything that I can. I'm just dead on board to Cultivator's Caravan. Alright. Lots of punts there, but the only punt that mattered was moving into combat before I cast Ugin. I had to play Ugin and -6 before I went into combat. Because then I could have an untapped Rankle as a blocker here, so I don't immediately die to Cultivator's Caravan.
At least I tried.
Reality is unwritten.
So, I hope they still cast Escape to the Wilds or something. Like, they still do all their other stuff, so I can at least see that I still would have super lost doing this. There's 7 cards left in their library. They're cultivating for nothing. Oh yeah, no, I totally would have lost. They could attack with both creatures since they played a Jade Light Ranger. Alright, well, I was tremendously dead, even if I did the other thing. I guess I'd be at 1 life. Because I could chump block the 5/5 and take 3 instead of 5. So I'd be at 4 here, then I'd take 3. I could have survived with 1 life if I didn't punt last turn. But then I don't get another turn because these emblems. Instead, I am dead right now. So that is 1 win and 2 losses for this mono black deck. That's pretty disappointing. Oop. I feel like this deck... I feel like this deck was like... We were 100% in the lane that was the most open in the draft. So it always feels bad when something like that happens and then you still just get punished in the games. I feel like this was a draft that I feel like the drafting portion of this went really well. We were in a very open archetype, but I guess it just doesn't matter. The archetype could just be not that good. I definitely feel like the 5-color value-y Field of the Dead Niv Mizzet decks are definitely... It's undebatable that those are incredibly popular. It's debatable, but it's my opinion that they're too strong. I'm kind of tired of the 5-color value decks at this point. I feel like I play against them every draft at least 2 or 3 times. And that's not really true for any other strategy. Even mono red type stuff, that's like absolute classics. Alright, we'll see if they want to trade with that Grateful Apparition. Kinda want to just play Vengeful Rebel here. It's for not a lot of value, but I like trying to keep the curve up here, keep things going. Yeah, that seems fine. Luminarch Aspirant. Ooh, comboing with that Grateful Apparition to keep getting counters on it, make it really big really quick. Well, at least Rankle's gonna come in. Nightmare Shepherd 2 in the future, but I think I'm gonna Rankle here, make them sacrifice a creature. If they block here, that's very bad for them, because then they're gonna lose both their creatures. If they don't block, I'm doing a lot of damage, and... we're gonna sacrifice a creature, both of us are gonna take a damage and draw a card. Alright, Luminarch Aspirant's gone, we're milling ourselves 3 more, didn't hit anything that matters in grave. Opponent's got a Pelt Collector now, so they can sacrifice that to the Rankle instead. I wouldn't be surprised if they just don't attack with Grateful Apparition now, though, because that leaves them a blocker for Rankle. They're only at 8 life, so they really have to think about life total now. We did get off to a pretty aggressive start. There's a Loyal Pegasus, can't attack or block alone. It is a 2/1, so that can't block a Rankle. Actually, I think it can if Pelt Collector blocks something else. I'm not 100% sure how that works. Either way, I can just kill it right now with Elspeth's Nightmare if I want. I think I'd rather just play Nightmare Shepherd. That seems pretty brutal. Anything that I attack with is going to trade at worst, so yeah, we'll play Nightmare Shepherd. Get in. Rankle survives no matter what, even if they can block with the Pegasus, which I think they can. If they want to. Not 100% sure if it's just that Loyal Pegasus has to block like the same creature. I don't think Loyal Pegasus has to block the same creature. It just can't block unless something else is blocking, period. They're down to 2. I'm at 11. I think, yeah, I'll do the lose a life thing again then. And do we want to sacrifice a creature again? Nightmare Shepherd brings it back as a 1/1. So Vengeful Rebel. Actually, that's a sick combo. We're definitely sacrificing creature. So sack a creature, lose a life, draw a card. Watch this. Watch this sick line. Bring back Rebel as a 1/1. That'll kill both their creatures. Okay, well not if they sacrifice that one actually. But I get my trigger, that's cool. It's a 1/1 till end of turn. I didn't quite do the math. -3 is not -4. But still in a good position. They're at 1, I just have to hit them with one of these creatures, even if it is just a 1/1. I think that was still the play. We still sacrifice and get one back with the Shepherd. So Fairgrounds Warden is out. They have 2 creatures to block my 2 attackers, so Elspeth's Nightmare might be lethal. Not if they play a 3rd blocker. So they can give Fairgrounds Warden indestructible when I try to kill it with Elspeth's Nightmare. But then they have to trade with Nightmare Shepherd, at least, when I attack with that, so that's cool. Then I get to play a Woe Strider as well. So I'll have a lot of attackers. Yeah, I think I just main phase this. So they sacrifice the Savior. If I attack with both of these, my 1/1 just dies, and then we trade there. Play my Woe Strider. And just trade there, I think. Do I even want to trade? I think I do. I want to get just all their creatures off the board and have a lot of just 1-power creatures here. Because I'm also 1 mana away from Godpharaoh's Gift, so I definitely want to throw Shepherd in the grave here, because I can even scry into that by sacrificing my goat. Alright, there is the concession from Nerf. I do enjoy our opponent's name. That was a good one. Nerf is a nice name. Alright, we are 1 hour into the draft, so even if I lose the next game, we kind of got a valuable amount of time out of this draft, even if it is only a 2-3 run. I would certainly love to keep the win streak going as much as possible. Run away from these 2 losses. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. All right. Here we are again. Thoughtseize turn 1, Skeleton turn 2, Murderous Rider turn 3, Hagra Mauling turn 4. Don't mind if I do. I could even Hagra Mauling for only 3 mana if they just keep playing non-basics. We'll see. Maybe they're another 5-color deck. They are Temur. Ooh, weird hand for our opponent. They've got a ramp card with Wolfwillow Haven, but nothing to ramp into yet anyway. A Braid to just damage a creature, and Purphoros' Intervention can also just damage a creature. I guess a Braid can also destroy an artifact, so that's kind of scary for if I draw Godpharaoh's Gift. I don't want them to still have a Braid. I feel like they're probably going to Braid my Murderous Rider or something, though, if they don't draw into a creature. Intervention can make like a big trampling haster, but that doesn't really matter. Yeah, I mean, they just have to draw into something. I hate it when I Thoughtseize someone and see a hand like this, because then I'm like, oh, they have like no action. But then oftentimes, you know, as games tend to go, like somebody's going to draw into action at some point. And then I just feel bad because I'm like, oh, you had nothing. You had nothing. All right, I'm just going to hit a Braid. Whatever. I'll hit their cheapest removal as well as the one that can hit Godpharaoh's Gift. I'll let them keep the ramp. They're not ramping into anything unless they draw into it anyway, so let's find out. And hopefully they think that I just hit their Braid because it's their cheapest removal. It's possible. I might actually have to just cast Murderous Rider as Murderous Rider. They did draw into an Incubation Druid, that's whatever. We know that they have Purphoros' Intervention, but that is a sorcery, so unless they drew something to protect this Druid, I can just kill it with my Rider. Yeah, I'd like to get full value out of all my cards, so I'll just kill that with Murderous Rider. So that I can Swift End and cast Murderous Rider next turn. Play the value game here, maybe Inscription of Ruin, have him discard some cards in a bit. This does bring creatures back from my grave too. Oh, they drew into a Golos? They have Field of the Dead, I'm gonna be sad. Okay, at least they don't have Field of the Dead. If they just top deck Golos into Field of the Dead, it's like, no, you need to get out of here, opponent. They are another 5-color deck, though. Green, black, blue, white, red. That's all 5. What do we do here? I can Hagra Mauling Golos. I definitely want to kill that before they use its ability, so that might be the play. I can also Inscription of Ruin it. Oh, that's CMC 3 or less, not Power 3 or less, so I can't do that. So I guess we're just going to Mauling it. Do that before they untap. Because they're at 6 mana right now, they're only 1 mana away from the ability. Yeah, they could just untap, play a basic, use Golos' ability. So we gotta do that during our turn. There's a Spring to Mind is the next draw. I like that card a lot. It was a lot of fun in Amonkhet drafts. I am sad I didn't get to do a lot of Amonkhet remastered drafts. I wish they cycled the draft formats more often. I'd love to get back into that. I think right now they're just doing Ikoria again. We don't really have any historic drafts now that they rotated Kaladesh out. Ooh, I'm going to ramp into an Ugin this game. Got 5 mana now, 6 in hand. How much does this cost to kick? 4 mana to kick, so this is going to be 7 to do all the stuff. So I can make them discard their Purphoros' Intervention. Other than that, they just have Mind in hand. I'm feeling fine. We'll just play Murderous Rider. Slap on in. There's Mind, drawing 2 cards. Now they have 4 in hand. Presumably one of these will be a land. No. Interesting. So now I just have interaction with nothing to do. So do I just Mind Rot my opponent then? My other option is to just do nothing. I'm 1 mana away from kicking this, but at the same time, the other forms on this destroy a cheap creature and return a cheap creature. I don't think either of those things is going to happen. I don't think I'm going to have a cheap creature in grave. If I do, it's going to be Skeleton, which I could just bring back anyway. Sure. We'll Mind Rot them. We know none of those are lands because they didn't play a land that turn. Discard 2 decent cards, hopefully. Oh, 1 is a land. They just sandbagged it. That's fair, I guess. They don't have anything to do with all this mana right now. Phylath, the World Sculptor. Scary. Don't have any removal for that, but I wasn't going to have removal for it anyway. I need to draw into 2 lands to Ugin away all that stuff. Woestrider's a really good draw that's going to let me try to scry into those lands, especially with the combo with Reassembling Skeleton. Now I get to trump block something with Reassembling Skeleton and sacrifice it to scry. I could Elspeth's Nightmare to kill a plant, but that doesn't seem necessary. We're trying to hit Ugin now. So we're going to kill all of them in one fell swoop anyway. Vastwood Surge, put 2 counters on all of them too. Well, now I want to Elspeth's Nightmare plant. Good lord. Phylath makes things so bad so fast. That Vastwood Surge is insane. They got 2 counters on all their stuff and 2 lands. 2 landfall triggers with Phylath means 2 more of their plants. Got +5/+5. This turned sour so fast. So we get to scry with our goat and Reassembling Skeleton and then take 6, gain 2, so take 4, go to 14 here, scry 3. I guess we do that, and then we Elspeth's Nightmare the plant. If I do that, and I Elspeth's Nightmare the plant, next turn I'm going to have Reassembling Skeleton and Woestrider as my blockers. How many cards do I have in grave? I have 3 cards in grave. Woestrider needs 4 other ones. Murderous Rider won't go to my grave. It'll go to the bottom of my library, so I don't have a way to trigger Woestrider's Escape. If I did, I might block with Woe Strider and Reassembling Skeleton so I could play both of them next turn, because next turn I'm just going to want to play a land. I'm not going to want to cast a 7-mana spell. Alright, so we block like that. Definitely Scry... We don't want to Scry off the lifelink, actually. So Scry there. Stitcher Supplier, no. Scry there. Please land. Okay, we hit a swamp, so we can leave that, bring back Skeleton, gain the life off Murderous Rider. And we just need to hit one more land, and then we are all in on Eugene, as happens a lot. And we get to scry twice with Reassembling Skeleton, thanks to its ability to bring it back. Kill the plant, the only thing we can kill. We block 2 of these, which means we're going to take 12. And we're going to go to 2 life. So, this is the last-ditch effort. If we lose this, we've lost the whole draft, and that would be a really sad way to lose it. We're going to lose to 5-color top decks.
Let's start at a sizzle and see if
It
we
happens.
make the inferno.
That is so unfortunate. Literally can't have a way to have blockers here now, which means I take like a million. That's so infuriating. I'm just going to lose to my least favorite deck in the format that we got 100% confirmation just top decked into this game. That's what I mean when I'm like, when I thought see somebody, I'm like, oh, this hand sucks. And then I get destroyed. It always feels bad. It is unfortunate Skeleton comes into play tapped, because otherwise I could at least block 1 creature. I would still die, but it's a thing. Get max value. I guess at least we can see, maybe I would have been really unlucky and just not hit a land anyway. Okay, I would have hit my Ugin land. But obviously, does not matter here. This is very lethal. This is very lethal. That was an incredibly disappointing run for a really fun deck. I guess, yeah, I mean, let's get out of the headspace of that game and look back on the draft as the whole. It wasn't that disappointing, but it was a disappointing run for that fun deck. I mean, 2 wins, 3 losses. We got over an hour of fun out of that draft. Not the end of the world. Not the end of the world at all. But that is going to end today's Arena Cube draft. I would like to thank you all again for watching as always. Let's check out our prizes here. I'll definitely be back again for some more drafts. With the way these last 2 Arena Cube drafts have gone, and I've just done enough at this point where I feel like I am sort of seeing the same decks over and over. At least the 5-color decks, my god. I think my next draft videos are probably going to be some Zendikar drafts in the meantime, unless they bring back some more of the older drafts. It is unfortunate that they removed Kaladesh Remastered. I didn't know when they were going to remove that, and then I wanted to play Kaladesh Remastered today, and it's not on here. It's gone, so that's unfortunate. It's just Ikoria or Zendikar, and I'll take Zendikar over Ikoria any day. But anyways, as always, I will see you again soon for more drafts. Probably Zendikar. Maybe whatever else they bring back, if they bring back something else soon. So thanks for watching. I probably said it like 10 times now. I'll see you again soon.